To do that, you need a big new business like Silicon Valley did in the 1990s and 2000s. We got a new business, which gave our country new life and made our debt much smaller. We can only get out of the debt problem by starting a new business. And blockchain and AI are the clear fields for doing that, and we should be careful not to send them away. At CoinDesk's Consensus 2024 event, presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talks about how Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies can change the world and stresses how important independent currencies are. RFK Jr. talks about how Bitcoin can spark new ideas and business in the United States. The price of Bitcoin is said to be around $70,000 at the time of this show. It has gone up 2% in the last 24 hours and a huge 10% in the last 30 days. There are now $19.71 million worth of Bitcoin in circulation, which is 1% more than 24 hours ago. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. makes the case for clear rules and for keeping the United States at the head of blockchain and AI progress. We require a clear set of rules that we don't have. The new FIT Act, which makes a difference between controlled and decentralized currencies, is what I think is a good start to that. And, we need to protect consumers. We need to keep the public safe if someone is involved in a pump and dump scheme like the FTX or something else bad. My grandpa was the first head of the Securities and Exchange Commission SEC, which is short for the Federal Election Commission. He took over after Wall Street crashed because people lost faith in it when they realized it was just a casino run by oligarchs. And it was my grandfather's job to make sure that there were clear rules for stocks so that the little guy could trade without getting caught in some kind of scam. He was able to do that, and Wall Street was really saved from itself. I believe we need to do the same thing with Bitcoin right now. We need to, because cryptos are both goods and stocks and they can change from one to the other during their life cycle. I believe it is important that they are regulated in a way that both protects against fraud and predatory practices and makes cryptocurrencies completely transactional. For example, you can't really transactional with Bitcoin because you have to pay taxes on every purchase, right? When you buy something like an apple or lunch, you have to pay taxes on it, which is not a good thing. They need to be able to be used for transactions like money does. I also don't think we have the right banking and regulatory systems in this country to make sure they are regulated in a way that makes sense and encourages transactions. We also need to make sure that they have full control. We need to make them open, and we need to make them transactional and clear. That's great that he did that. I think it was the politicians. Also, Gary Gensler just recently came out with an ETF for Ethereum, which I think is a good idea. Why do they care about politics? Yes, I think so, but I'm not going to look into why they did what they did. I'm just glad they're going to do it. I'm glad that President Trump said at the Libertarian Convention that he was going to pardon Ross Ulrich, because I believe that the more people who understand the importance of cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin and having decentralized currencies, the more our country can be re-energized and become a hub for innovation and entrepreneurship again. Decentralized currencies can also re-democratize our economy by making it more open and giving people the power to keep their wealth without it being reduced and to move it across borders without the government taking it away from them. These things, and also how important it is to have some kind of base currency that will keep us out of war. In fact, I think there's only been one war in the last 100 years that the American people would have agreed to pay for, and that was World War II. We would not have had any of these other wars if we had base cash. All of them were possible because leaders could print money. If they couldn't, they'd have to tell us ahead of time that they wanted a war. That means you'll have to send your kids to a different school. You need to give up your boat. You will need to buy various types of food. Downgrading your economic expectations for the next 20 years is something that people would think about and decide not to do. The fact that politicians don't have to do that, they can just print money afterward without asking anyone's permission, is why we have wars and why we're addicted to them in this country. That's why a decentralized base currency could help our country live up to its promises as a country, run efficiently, and let people keep the money they've earned through hard work, their minds, and their energy, everything that it could do for people. The more Americans know that this is the promise of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, the better. I think about how pleased I am that President Trump is now on board and how pleased I am with what Gary Gensler did. What he did is important to me. We need to do a lot more. We need to make sure that money can move into cryptos in this country and that America stays the center of this, blockchain, AI, and all of these other things. I believe that 1,200 new cryptocurrencies have been created in Switzerland in the past 2 years. All of these businesses are worth $360 billion together, All of those are listed there because the government is against cryptocurrencies and has declared war on them. We think that this kind of progress should happen in the United States. There is a $34 trillion debt to us. We can't get out of that debt by cutting back. We're going to grow our economy because that's the only way out of this mess.